Let me start the watch parties.
Hey guys, it's Jackie M from Masters of Malaysian Cuisine for another in our series of broadcasts around the theme of Chinese New Year recipes. So our series is called Kongsi, and this is done in partnership with our partner Facebook group Masak Apa Tak Jadi Hari Ini. Apa khabar semua? Selamat datang. Nama saya ialah Jackie M dan hari ini kita akan buat satu resipi untuk Tahun Baru Cina. Saya akan buat yeesang, and I'm going to show you a quick and easy way to make this. Joining me, who is going to be hosting me, is the co-founder of Masters of Malaysian Cuisine, Paul Gray, over in South Africa. You might have seen him cook at some point. Guys, say hello and let us know where you're watching from. I'm just going to play a quick clip from Tourism Malaysia, and we'll hop back on in 30 seconds.
Hey, now, hey, now, that was a different floor. Hey, now, you gotta see the police. We're ready to go. We're ready to go. Come on. Gotta make a move to get there right now. Somewhere nice so we can get away. Better than the ordinary day. You're my paradise. Malaysia, truly Asia.
Hey guys, Jackie, I'm back again. It's my turn to cook, and like I said, welcome to Paul Gray, who's going to be hosting me. Guys, make sure you say hello. Let us know where you're watching from. I'm going to be making. For those of you who don't know me, I'm based in Australia. I was born in Malaysia, and back in the day, I used to have a Malaysian restaurant here in Sydney, and this was something that I used to sell in my restaurant. Yeesang, which is a raw fish salad, and I used to use salmon for it. And I used to spend a lot of time making it from scratch and sell it both at the restaurant and for people to take away. And mine was the only Malaysian restaurant in Sydney back in the day that used to make yeesang. So it attracted a lot of people, but it was a lot of work. So what I'm going to do today, because we've only got a 1 hour period here, I'm going to show you this is my own thinking. I haven't actually properly tried this out. This is my thinking of how you can make your own yeesang at home without having to go to the shops to buy one of those yeesang kits that are so popular nowadays. And you know what? The rest of my family actually buys these yeesang kits, and they still have to add stuff to it. But these kits that contain the sauce and contain some of the crispy stuff are not cheap in themselves. So one of these kits will cost like nearly $20 Australian nowadays. I'm going to show you how you can essentially make your own yeesang kit, right? But like I said, I'm going to be taking some liberties. So some of you might get annoyed. The purists might get annoyed. But I've got to remind you, for those of you who are purists about this, I do know how to make it from scratch. And I used to do it and sell it, okay? But this is for those who don't have the time and who don't want to spend money on one of these yeesang kits. But yeah, again, say hello. Hey, hi from Singapore. Good to see you. And yeah, everyone, let us know where you're watching from so that we can acknowledge you on screen. Paul, how you doing? Good to see you.
Yeah, so I'm good. Good morning from South Africa. Evening by you guys almost.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Guys, so what we're going to do, like I said, we're going to make this my own yeesang recipe actually contains nearly 20 components, right? And 20 components, by 20 components, I don't mean 20 ingredients. I mean 20 different little bits and pieces. So it's a lot of work to pull them together. This way that I'm showing you is going to cut it down by more than half. All right. So like I said, there are going to be some liberties I'm going to take, and some of you may not agree with me, but for those of you who are a little bit more relaxed about the whole thing, I hope you get something out of it. And yeah, like I said, hey, Hamima, how you doing? Good to see you. So what we're going to do, we're going to make about 8 components, okay? Like I said, I don't mean 8 ingredients, but it's not too far from it. So we're going to make the sauce first, right? So I've got this pot here. And for the sauce, and people were saying like how they find making the yeesang sauce a little bit complicated, a little bit confusing. They don't really know what goes into it. This is my hack for the sauce, and this is going to be the first controversial point. Okay, first of all, I'm just going to add a little bit of water here, and my sauce is going to be a combination of apricot jam, or marmalade if you've got that. Okay, so ironically, having said all I said about simplifying, and I'm going to have trouble opening this because this is a brand new jar. The sauce in this simplified recipe is actually a little bit more, has more stuff happening in it, okay? And the reason for it is that it then saves you having to add other stuff to it. Okay, so I'm just heating this up with a little bit of water. And I'm going to add some apricot jam in here. Okay. And the great thing though about the sauce is that you can keep it. You can keep it, store it in a jar and it will keep indefinitely. We're going to put some sesame oil in here.
I always enjoy sesame oil.
Yeah. Oh, they're not cheap though. That's the other thing. Like, by the way, for those of you who don't know, I know like Malaysians, Asians, they know sesame oil. But when I came to Australia and started teaching people how to cook, they were asking me like whether it's like roasted sesame oil or raw sesame oil. I was thinking that's such an odd question. I've never thought about it. Because to us Asians, sesame oil is sesame oil, right? The other thing that's going into it is our plum sauce, okay? So I will hope that all of you should be able to find plum sauce at your local supermarket. Paul, you're based in South Africa where Malaysian ingredients or Asian ingredients in general are a little bit of a challenge. Can you get plum sauce easily?
Yeah, that is a definite no-no.
Are you serious?
You know what? You can get lucky in that a couple chains do keep it. So that Woolworths, if you ever see me watch and you see the like fancy bag grocery store, they have like a little bottle, but it's ridiculously pricey for the size because you can't get it there. So you got to go to Chinatown to get it. And usually when I do, I get like the huge bottles worth.
Okay, sure. Well, at least you still have like Chinatown to revert to. Now,
True.
I would also actually put some hoisin sauce if I've got that on hand. That's not compulsory. Okay, so you want like about a plum sauce and hoisin sauce in equal measure, some apricot jam, and some sesame oil. And I'm going to be really controversial. I'm going to add some crunchy peanut butter to this. Okay, so everybody's going to scream at me watching at home, but trust me, it works. Okay, so crunchy peanut butter, and the reason for this is, like I said, the sauce you can save and keep in your pantry or keep in your fridge for a long time. Okay, but remember, if you are familiar with yeesang, we'll talk a little bit more about the history of yeesang and the meaning of it and all that sort of stuff in a bit. If you've had yeesang, typically in Malaysia or in those kits, you'll actually have some crushed peanuts in it, okay? So I'm saving you the trouble of having to roast your own peanuts and crushing it, okay? So we're adding a little bit of crunchy peanut butter in here, and I'm going to simmer this till it all dissolves. And if needs be, you can adjust the flavor. So so far you can think, yeah, sorry, Paul.
No, I was going to say, I think that actually could be a good hack because if you think about it, like crunchy peanut butter, I don't know what they do in the factory. I don't want to think about it, but they keep the like peanuts crunchy in the peanut butter. So, by adding that, it keeps that crunchiness to it. Plus a little bit of like that viscosity.
That's right. Okay, so we're going to put some lime juice in here. Obviously, you can use lemon juice. I actually usually use lemon juice. So happens here in my neck of the woods this week, limes happen to be cheaper than lemons for a change. So I decided to use limes instead. So anything that's sour will work with this, okay? So let's add some lime juice in here.
What kind of backwards economy is it that limes are cheaper than lemons? It would never happen in South Africa.
It doesn't usually happen in Australia, so I was really surprised as well. Okay, so let's just try this a little bit. Okay, so essentially what you want to produce is something that's fairly strong flavored, as in like sweet and sour, okay? Now, I know there are people out there, when they simplify their yeesang sauce, all they use is honey, okay? So you can use honey too. So sometimes I use honey in lieu of apricot jam, or sometimes they just use straight plum sauce, right? And you can do that too. This one to me just kind of like splits the difference between having it too basic, in my opinion, or having it a little bit too complicated, okay? So this is what we want to do. Throw in the lemon or lime juice, have the plum sauce, I'm loving
So-
that. Thanks, Debbie. Yeah, I know. Like, I actually have some like how would you say it? Some fairly traditional Chinese outfits, but I don't necessarily want to be cooking in them because I don't want to ruin them, you know. So I thought this is kind of like is my compromise. It's red, but it's a cheap old shirt that I've worn for years and years. For those of you who don't know, I've got a separate YouTube channel, just youtube.com/Jackie M. If you go back 10 years to my old videos, you might find me wearing the same clothes from 10 years ago. It's actually quite good.
What do you mean you might find? You will find. I was gonna say, it's like I put this on because of Chinese New Year, but now that I see it on camera, it looks like peach. So,
Yeah, it's good enough. And for those of you, like I said, you know, with Chinese New Year, I get a little bit intrigued nowadays. I grew up in Malaysia. I came to Australia when I was 17. But back in my day, I'm going to sound really old now. Back in my day, Chinese New Year dinners meant like really traditional Chinese New Year dishes. Okay, let's taste this. Okay, it's pretty much good to go. So this has come to a boil, right? And you can actually just store it in a jar once it cools down and just keep it. It will keep really, really well. Nothing in here that really will go off. Okay, so let's pull this aside. And now we've got the salmon on standby, which we're going to cut up in a bit. And now this may be a little bit hard to come by. This is pomelo, and here in Australia, our pomelos, I have to admit, are terrible. Look at how thick the skin is.
I was going to say, look at that. It's like thicker than like flesh.
Yeah, Malaysian pomelos are beautiful, but obviously, if you can't get pomelo, you can use grapefruit. Okay, so don't stress out about this. This is a nice to have, not necessarily must have. So with your typical yeesang, right? A number of things that I noticed that people, you know, sometimes when they make it at home, that they kind of like, what I want to say is that there is like, insofar as Chinese New Year recipes, okay, they're Chinese New Year recipes because they symbolize stuff. So with a yeesang, if you want to attempt it at home, you want lots of color. You want all the Chinese like festive colors, and like red represents like China to the Chinese. They represent prosperity. Okay, so you want like a colorful salad. You want red. You want green, which signifies like, you know, new life and all that, right? And you want gold again, like all the prosperous colors. So think about that when you're assembling your own yeesang platter, okay? So don't stress out about not being able to get a whole of pomelo. You can substitute it with other stuff. But think of the color combination. You want the carrot because it's got the golden, like, you know, colorful hue. And then also the other thing I want to mention as well is you want to shred all your ingredients like thinly, okay? You don't want to cut them into like chunks. I see some people cut them into chunks, and yeah, that kind of like makes it a little bit weird to toss. So with yeesang in traditional Malaysian style serving, you actually toss them with your chopsticks high in the air. I'll show you at the end of this, right? So the higher you toss, the more prosperous, the more luck you're supposed to bring in, okay? I think you kind of like capture the luck. Obviously, you know, this is all like tradition and fun and that sort of stuff. It doesn't necessarily mean that we actually literally believe that it will bring us good luck. But, you know, when you're doing this sort of stuff, you might as well get in the spirit of it and actually do it properly. That's how I kind of feel, right? But yeah, so we've got the pomelo. So this is kind of a little bit finicky because you want to actually remove the skin and just pull out the pulp, okay? So so this is what we end up with, okay? And somebody's commenting as me, that will be Paul.
That is me.
And so big news coming soon. Oh yeah, guys, if you think that our MOMC chefs have been absent on camera, that's because MOMC Lives, MOMC Mondays, with some of you who've been following MOMC since we started, MOMC Mondays is going to restart in March. And it's going to be MOMC TV, okay? So MOMC is growing up. We're going to create our online TV show, and it's going to be all recorded and beautifully edited, and it's going to have like more stuff, more cooking, more interviews, more behind the scenes looks and all that sort of stuff. Okay, so make sure you stay tuned for MOMC TV that's going to be launching in a few weeks. But in the meantime,
keep an eye on the next few days because we're going to have a trailer dropping as well. Even though I'm the one creating it, I must say so. It's quite good myself. Even my dad thought so.
You know why? It's because I spent like, how many hours did I spend with you last night, Paul?
Spent like 4 hours at least.
Yeah, see, it's all my, it's all thanks to my input.
Hashtag teamwork makes the dream work.
Exactly. So, okay, right now I've got some pomelo, okay? And like I said, you can use grapefruit. You can probably use
grapefruit. I find that grapefruit would be just a bit too sour or bitter, in my opinion.
It might be. I've never actually been a fan of grapefruit myself. Okay. Or you can use like mandarins. Okay. Mandarins, very Chinese New Year. It's very
and orange.
Oranges. Okay. But mandarins in particular, they symbolize because of the what do you call it? They sound like a word in Chinese for gold. Okay, so it's a good ingredient to use in your Chinese New Year cooking. Okay, now I want to talk about these mandolins. Okay, obviously I think a lot of people have normal mandolins. These are like kind of like Asian style mandolins. I say Asian style because here in Australia, you have to go to like the Asian parts of Sydney to find these, and they proliferate like Asian shops here, okay? But they come in a couple of different sizes. This is the fine one, and this is the thicker one, okay? So if you're making this, okay, if you're grating fresh ingredients for yeesang, you want the fine one, okay? Everything you want them to be not short and chunky and thick. You want them to be long and thin, okay? So, and this here is what we call radish growing up. Nowadays, the Japanese term for is daikon seems to be a little bit more commonly popular, okay? So you want to shred this in long strips, okay? And again, if you don't have daikon, you can use like cucumber, I guess, okay? So don't stress out too much about the fresh ingredients, but you do want a combination of fresh ingredients and also like prepared ingredients, okay? And carrots, everyone should be able to get a hold of carrots.
How would you feel about normal radishes? Not really the right flavor profile. The little round red ones.
Those little stumpy ones.
Yeah, because it doesn't have that nice length, and you can't make like sort of a spaghetti out of them.
Together like noodles, okay? Hey, Rochef. Good to see you. Okay,
hey,
so
hope you're doing well.
All I'm going to do now is actually I'm going to heat up some oil, okay? Because we're going to actually do some frying, okay? And just got this pot going and heat up the oil.
With your soybean oil.
Yeah, I know. Everybody's always asking, what kind of oil do you use? I use whatever's cheapest that I can buy at the store, okay? So this is labeled as vegetable oil, but if you read the fine print, it's actually Malaysian soybean oil. I have to mention Malaysia, okay? Right.
Muffy's going to love you for that.
So we've got some radish, okay, or daikon, some carrot, and some pomelo so far. Okay.
That looks nice.
And remember, we've made the sauce, and the sauce you can make using a combination of apricot jam or marmalade plus hoisin sauce plus plum sauce plus sesame oil and plus a bit of crunchy peanut butter. That's my hack for it. Okay. Now, I've got two more hacks. Sorry.
I wanted to ask two things quickly. Is the plum sauce together with the hoisin, you don't think is a bit sweet? Like I'm imagining in my head that it might be a little too sweet.
It's meant to be sweet. That's how it can counter. Like that's why the lime juice is in there. Oh yeah, I stuck some lime juice in there. And guys, remember, like I said, this is the only part of this hack that actually has got more ingredients going into it than my normal raw fish salad sauce, okay? And the reason for it is you can cook it all together, store it in jars. Next time you want some raw fish salad, you don't think, I need to crush some peanuts, or I need to grab some of this, I need to grab some of that and throw it together. You've got a jar of raw fish salad sauce in your fridge, and then maybe you can sell it to your friends too. See, start a little cottage industry, okay? So yeesang sauce. Okay, so what we're going to do, I'm just heating some oil here. Now, what I used to do back in my restaurant when I sold this, I would actually make these flour crisps, okay, that go into it, because part of the charm of yeesang is that it's got this crispy fried texture, like kind of like folded into all the fresh ingredients, right? So I used to make the pastry from scratch, and you make that using plain flour, using some fermented bean curds and all that. You roll it into thin sheets and you cut them up, and then you fry them up. They puff out a little bit because there's a bit of baking powder in them. But the hack is to use wonton skin wrappers, okay? So what I'm going to do, I would hope everyone can buy wonton skin wrappers or dumpling wrappers, okay? I'll show you how to make your own wonton skin. But any kind of like pastry, right? So we're going to do some of this here. So take a few out, and remember, now you want to, let me just move this out of the way. You want to cut this into strips, okay? So cut it into thin strips. Okay, the oil is getting hot already. I'm just going to turn it down a little bit.
I definitely want to try that in a salad. I think it's going to add a nice texture.
Yeah, it will. It will. Okay. So I'll cut them into like these chunks here. And what you want to do is just throw it into some oil. Okay. And fry it up.
I was going to say that just thinking back about the sesame oil thing is, you're definitely right that, you know, non-sort of Asian people don't know what's going on there. Because, like, I went to the shops the other day and I saw sesame oil that was really cheap. And I was like, oh, it's really cheap. Like, I need to try this. I tried it and it was the raw one. And I was just like, oh, this is a letdown.
See, the raw type of sesame oil, I find, is what the health food people go for. And they look for them in health food stores. So I'm surprised that it's cheap. I would have thought that it would be actually more expensive because it caters to people who are into health food. Okay, so you fry these. And by the way, when you fry anything, okay, when you know that it's ready, is like when you first throw it into the oil, it bubbles up very vigorously. When the bubbling starts to dissipate, that's when you know that the moisture has been pulled out from it. Don't wait till it's completely flat in the oil because you will have fried it too long. But when it starts to dissipate quite a bit, you take it out. It will continue to crisp up out of the oil, and then you're gonna wait till it cools down before you use it. Okay, because when it cools down is when it will crisp up beautifully. Okay. So yeah, like I said, Chinese New Year recipes, they all symbolize something. You want, like I said, you know, the reds, the greens, the golds. And how do you produce the green in this recipe? Okay, what I used to do for my restaurant was I would get taro. Okay, everyone knows taro, ubi kayu, that you then shred. And you would want to shred it, anything that needs cooking. Further, you want to shred it using the bigger mandolin, okay, the ones with the bigger holes, okay, because when you cook it, it's going to shrink some more. So what I would do is get taro and I would shred it, and then I would split it into two portions. One portion, I would actually put red dye through it, okay, again, red prosperity. And the other portion, I would put green dye in through it, okay. And what do I use for green dye? Red dye you can find pretty easily in Asian grocery stores because we use red for like things like char siu, like the barbecue pork stuff. But green, I used to use pandan concentrate. Okay, everybody, if you're Malaysian, you will know pandan concentrate that you use in onde, in kaya and all that. I don't actually use them in kaya and onde because I use fresh kaya and onde. Hey, Annie, how you doing? for those of you who are part of my coaching community of online students, hey from Cape Town, hey Nasrin, how you doing? For those of you who are from my online coaching community, you will have seen me do the long form way to make yeesang, okay, just last weekend, but today I'm showing you the shortcut way of doing it. So we've got the oil. I forgot, the other thing you want to go into this is ginger, right? Now, there are two options. They're both shortcuts. One is to buy a jar of pickled ginger from an Asian grocery store. This costs like $1 or something like that. So this is the cheap option and it works perfectly fine. Okay, so straight out of the jar, it's already shredded for you, so you don't have to shred it, right? Or the other option is you get sushi ginger. Yeah. This costs $1. This costs $5, right? So I'll let you decide which one to go with. But sushi
whichever
ginger,
you can get your hands on.
exactly. Sushi ginger might be easier to get. Maybe you go, every time you go buy sushi, you know how they give you a little sachet of ginger? Save those and use them for ginger. Yeah. Okay. So sushi ginger looks like this. Okay. And then you just want to, because they're in slices, they're not shredded. You do have to cut them out. Okay. So use some of that and cut it out. And sushi ginger is actually sweet, as anyone who tries it would know. My thing about sushi ginger, it works fine, but once you cut it up, it's not in strips. Kongsi fa chai, kongsi kongsi. Yeah. Okay, but that's the only thing I would say about sushi ginger. Like I said, pickled ginger, Asian grocery stores, jar of this costs, I think from memory, like $1. Okay, and it's already shredded. It's not sweet. Okay, so but remember your sauce is sweet, so your sauce will help to actually counteract some of this. Okay, so far you're still with me. We've got
what are we on? Five ingredients so far.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ingredients so far, plus the sauce is 6, right? And we're going to hack another. Okay, so we've got the wonton wrappers for crispiness. We want more crispiness and we want more color. How do you do that? So what we're going to do, you have two options. Okay, this is again my hack. Remember how I said, hey Suan, how you doing? Remember how I was saying in my restaurant, I used to use taro. Okay, taro, I would marinate them in different colors, Chinese New Year colors, and then fry them up into crispy taro strips. We want to save you the effort because taro can be a little bit hard to get for some people. And, truth be told, it's a pain trying to like shred that much taro because it's starchy, it's sticky. And then, it's just a fair bit of work, okay? What you can use, okay? 2 hacks. This, everyone knows this. This is vermicelli. Paul, are you familiar with vermicelli?
Yep, and that brand exactly. I've got it in the cupboard.
Yeah. I think this brand's got the market cornered around the world. Okay.
Basically.
So dry vermicelli, put it in here. Okay, let me turn on the oil.
I must say, frying it creates such an interesting texture. Like I've only done it a couple times, but I really enjoy it. Right.
Okay, so Paul knows what's coming, but I'm going to make it green. Okay, so remember my pandan concentrate. Let's pour some green in here through these dried vermicelli sticks and toss it through. Like I said, this isn't going to please everybody, but hopefully enough of you will want to give it a shot next time you think you're going to spend like $19 or $20 for a box of these, prepared yeesang. Okay, think about doing this instead. Okay, so I'll toss this through. Look,
that's pretty green.
Color. It is pretty green. Or you can use, these are sold as like egg noodles. Okay, this is what we in Malaysia use for wonton noodles here in Australia. And the reason I have to admit, this is more easily available for people like Paul Gray in South Africa. If you can get a hold of this is just as good. Okay, this is like the floury. If you go to your Asian grocery store and look for these floury wonton noodles, okay, that you can deep fry. Again, coat it with green, or if you have red, coat it with red, right? So just pour it over. And toss it through. You can see it.
Are there any other substitutions in case you can't get pandan concentrate that you can think of?
Anyone got any suggestions? You have green food coloring everywhere, right? Am I right, Paul? You should. I mean, go to the baking section. And look, I'm only using pandan because I'm too cheap to actually separately buy green food coloring. Back in my restaurant days, I used pandan quite a lot, but
doesn't the pandan add some flavor to it as well? Or is it not strong enough to add any flavor?
Yeah, it's not strong enough to add anything, and it's really not meant to add any flavor to it. Okay, so let's throw it in and fry it up. Okay, so these are the egg noodles, so wonton noodles. And by the way, guys, if you want this recipe, you need to sign up malaysianchefs.com/join today, and I will have the recipe available for you to download. I will email you the recipe, okay? Along with all the other Kongsi recipes, we will email it to everyone who signs up, right? So make sure you sign up to get it. Okay, so that's our green noodles, now green noodles.
Doesn't grab the green as much as the rice, the vermicelli does.
The rice noodles, yeah. Rice noodles, by their nature, actually are porous, so they absorb noodles. They absorb colors and everything else really well.
What's cochineal? Annie says green cochineal.
I don't know.
Okay, I'll have a Google.
Yeah, that sounds too Western food to me. I'm very Malaysian. I'm unabashedly fully Malaysian in my cooking. In my cooking techniques, knowledge, everything. Okay, when it comes to other cuisines, I do a blank all the time. Yeah. Okay, so we've got the green noodles. Here you go.
So
and of course, I said you've got red, even better. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
What's cochineal?
Cochineal is a parasite in South America that eats up the leaves and stuff, but it's good for the dye.
Okay, cool. Well, there you go.
That's interesting.
So we've got two different, you could actually even put more green through this, right? And then you've got the wonton crisps. So how many ingredients are we up to, Paul?
We're up to 7, 8.
Okay, 8 ingredients.
The noodles is 1 or 2, because then we're on 9.
Yeah, it's up to you. So we've got the fish now. So we're going to slice up the fish. Okay. If you want to make it easier to slice up the fish, just freeze it for half an hour. Right. And look, again, the other thing I want to mention, a lot of people, they just use sashimi. They use pre-cut sashimi, and that's fine. All right. But in Malaysia, if you have yeesang, they're cut really, really thin. Okay.
I was going to say something about sashimi is I feel like it's a little thick, especially for this dish.
Yeah. Truth be told, I love my salmon sashimi, so I'm not going to complain about that. But typically, to me, the more fish, the better. Yeah. But, okay. So we've got all this. Now, if you have toasted sesame, the green coloring used for cake. So there you go. Now, if you have toasted sesame seeds, then use that as well. But again, because this is a quick and easy and simplified version, I'm going to spare you having to toast sesame seeds. All right. What I do is I buy sesame seeds in bags of 1 kilo, and I toast a whole lot, and then I keep it away in an airtight jar. And then every time anything calls for sesame seeds, I just sprinkle it. So if you've got that, do it. If you don't, leave it out, okay, for this recipe. Let's smooth this out of the way. All right, so let's assemble it. Okay, so again, the carrot for the red, right? The radish or daikon, the ginger, and the pomelo or grapefruit. Okay, so you've got like a few different colors here, but these are all soft textures. Then you want the crispy bits. Okay, so you've got the crispy noodles. You can put 2 different types. Okay, we're gonna pretend the other one is red. Okay, because we don't have a lot of red here. That's because I don't have any red dye on hand. Okay. But
Just
you know
dye
what?
it with the blood of your enemies.
All right, so you've got all this. You got the salmon. Okay. Okay. And you're just gonna pour the sauce over it.
I was going to say, we actually get pamplemousse as well in South Africa, which is like pomelo, just like twice the size. And I think that would actually work nicely for this because you can shred it into longer strips.
Okay. All right. What's it called again?
Pamplemousse.
Okay.
I don't know how to spell it. But...
Yeah. All right. So remember the sauce? It's got crunchy peanut butter in it. And look, if you've got crushed peanuts, leave out the crunchy peanut butter and just pour crushed peanuts over this. But again, remember, this is for those who want to make the sauce in bulk and store it away. And who also don't necessarily have peanut butter on hand. I have crushed peanuts on hand. Hey, Renee, how you doing? Yeesang, greetings from Dubai. Yay! All right, so very, very quick and easy. How long did it take me? Okay, like just over
30
half an
minutes.
hour. Yeah. Usually,
we spoke for like 5 minutes at the start.
To be fair, when I make it for my restaurant, I make it for much larger quantities. But anytime I needed to make yeesang for Chinese New Year for my restaurant, it would set me back 3 hours easy. Okay, so this in just under half an hour, over half an hour, we've got all this. And like I said, Paul, you've shown you some video clips. The way you serve yeesang is you would toss it. Okay.
Tossing.
So, yeah. So
that's
it's
the coolest part of it.
Yeah. So you toss all of it together and toss it high. Okay. To produce.
Thing is, I'm not totally inexperienced because I did watch your masterclass in your academy on Saturday.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
That's the one thing I know about it.
Isn't this much easier?
Yeah, but I'm really excited to make this.
Yeah, there you go. And also the ingredients, like I said, it's a good get-together dish. That's exactly right. So the thing about this is that, you know, all the ingredients are pretty easy for you to get a hold of, regardless of whether you're in, hopefully, like, you know, in most parts of even Europe, you should be able to find these ingredients, right? But there you go. Look at how colorful this is. Okay. Hey, how are you? Hi from Turkey. Good to see you. Toss it high, Masna. Yeah, toss it high. Okay.
Be reckless.
Wish we could get our chopsticks into.
I agree with Renee.
There you go. So pretty easy. If you want this recipe, like I said, don't forget we're now emailing all our members all the recipes, and I'm just slowly going through all our backlog of recipes right now, and you will get it via email, okay? And also you will be able to access them via our membership site, which we will give you instructions on how to create an account for and access and all that as well for free. So all this content is for free. Anyone has any questions, any kind of like outrage about like the liberties I've taken with this or anything? No.
I personally think you didn't follow enough tradition in this dish. Not that I know anything.
Yeah. Like I said, I could have made it so incredibly simple. I just said use honey as the sauce or use plum sauce for the sauce. Oh, thanks, Sheila. You're welcome. But I wanted to split it a bit different because, in all honesty, because I used to own a restaurant, to me, flavor is really paramount. Okay, so when I was running my restaurant and a lot of the bottleneck was me, I did use a lot of shortcuts. But ultimately, if you take too many shortcuts and your food turns out like a fully compromised thing, people aren't going to pay money to eat it. Okay, so every time you see me prepare a recipe, whether it's the traditional way or it's the shortcut way, remember that at the back of my mind, I'm always thinking, would people pay money to eat this? Okay, so that to me is the key question. So there you go. Yeah.
I have one question, and it might require a long answer, but tell us a bit about your sort of history in terms of Chinese New Year as a kid, as growing up. I'd love to know like how you guys celebrated it and stuff.
First of all, Nasrin's asking, what is yeesang? Yeesang literally means raw fish. And apparently in China somewhere it's eaten, but not for Chinese New Year. The whole tradition of eating yeesang at Chinese New Year was apparently created by someone in my hometown of Seremban in Malaysia. And like I said, Chinese New Year dishes are very like symbolic. It's just like Easter, Easter eggs represent like new life and rebirth and all that sort of stuff. Same with Chinese New Year recipes, everything means something, okay? So the way to use this, I guess they have basically taken a hold of a known recipe and use it for Chinese New Year by adding all these components like the colorful Chinese New Year. You eat fish because fish is generally quite expensive, quite like a luxury kind of ingredient. It's seen as like a sign of abundance, of like wealth and all that, right? And also like the colors and all that mix into it. Represent Chinese New Year because of all the different colors, to do with prosperity, to do with good luck, to do with like new life and all that. Yes, I am from Seremban. So I'm the original Seremban girl. If you go to serembangirl.com, that's me, my blog. So as far as my experience of Chinese New Year, and like I said, it's quite interesting having lived in Australia for 37 years. Come Chinese New Year, people post photos of what they ate, and to me it's really strange when they eat like char kway teow and nasi lemak and all that, okay? Because growing up as a Chinese in Malaysia, the kind of stuff that we ate were, again, like I said, very symbolic stuff. A lot of seafood. Seafood, again, representing like, abundance and wealth and all that. And it's interesting, Masna, in her last session, you can go back and watch all our replays over on our YouTube channel, by the way, guys. youtube.com/Masters of Malaysian Cuisine has our past replays. Now, Masna made a steamed whole fish, and that's also a very traditional Chinese New Year dish. Right, again, fish representing like luxury and all that, but the whole fish, because to the Chinese, it represents like having good luck from start to finish. You got a head to the tail, the start to the finish of the entire year. You will have good luck, right? You're talking about dishes like. People, it's quite funny. Chef Dato Ismail, during his broadcast a couple of weeks ago, he was talking about how he visited his Chinese friend for Chinese New Year when he was a kid, and they gave him like mandarins. Mandarin, again, like I said, in Cantonese, the word for mandarin is gum, and gum is it sounds like the same word for gold, right? So that's why you see all the Chinese, they exchange mandarins for Chinese New Year. So they all represent something. The whole fish, so all these things, like a lot of seafood, a lot of Chinese like flavors, right? And I was pesta adap berbate. I've never heard of that. Lucky you. I'm very jealous. All these to do with tradition and all that in Malaysia, I think it's fantastic. Speaking of which, guys, we are very, very I'm Seremban. Oh, yes. Now staying in Frankfurt. Oh, guten Tag, wie geht's? Now, guys, speaking of adat and all that sort of stuff, Masters of Malaysian Cuisine, we are extremely, extremely excited to be collaborating with the Malaysian Ministry of Agriculture and Food Industries in March, okay? End of March. Make sure you guys stay tuned. We're going to do an entire, like a 4-day stretch of live demos with our original Masters of Malaysian Cuisine chefs, Chef Renee, Chef Joe, Papa Joe, Chef Debbie Teo, who's our new MOMC chef, and Chef Bob, Zaleha Open from UK, and Chef Dave. All of us are going to be cooking Malaysian heritage dishes to showcase Malaysian food and Malaysian ingredients for a global audience. So we're very, very excited to be collaborating with the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Industries for that. Make sure you stay tuned. There's going to be a special e-magazine that's going to come out. There's going to be on-site events as well. So if you're based in Sydney, or you're based in Dubai, or you're based in Kuala Lumpur, especially, you have a chance to meet our chefs live in specific locations, and you'll have a chance to actually take away some products, some Malaysian products with you, okay? So we're so incredibly excited for this, but make sure you stay tuned for further announcements that's coming up in March, and also that's coming out late March and early March. Remember, MOMC TV launches with our MOMC chefs. But in the meantime, we're running Kongsi to the end of February with our combination of MOMC chefs and MOMC at Heart chefs, people like Lisa Yew, people like, oh, you're so welcome, Abdul, with Chef Dato Ismail, with people like Victoria, who's coming up soon with us, people like Masna, all these amazing chefs, Liam Ghani, all these amazing chefs from all around the world who are part of our MOMC at Heart family. And if you are interested in being a part of our MOMC at Heart family, send me a message, okay? I'll tell you what you need to do, because we'd love to continue to grow our base, bring on more guest chefs cooking for us. So if you think you've got what it takes to cook live on air, get in touch with me, okay, guys? Any other questions? No, that's it. Okay, so again, like I said, that's my quick and easy recipe for yeesang that people should be able to pay money to eat, okay? So give it a shot next time you want to save $19 on a pack of these yeesang kits, okay? You're so welcome, Jamie. I'll try this recipe, prepare my own. Oh, you're so welcome. Awesome. Let me know how it turns out. If you guys attempt any of our recipes, tag us on social media, and we're going to actually start announcing like the prizes for people that we think deserve a special mention, okay? You're so welcome, Suan. And Suan, guys, from
coming up soon.
My Kitchen Rules Australia, Suan Ui is going to be one of our new MOMC at Heart chefs who's going to be cooking live for us for Kongsi coming up in the next few weeks, okay? So make sure you stay tuned. Oh, you're so welcome, Hamima. All right, guys, thanks again for tonight. And let's bump it out. Paul, any last words? What would you like to announce?
I was going to say, when you said, for those of you who want to save money on yeesang kits, or for those people who can't get hold of yeesang kits, make your own.
Yeah, so, make your own. And sell your own yeesang kits. Yeah, play around with the ingredients. You don't have to stick hard and fast to what I've given you some pointers, right? You want some fresh ingredients. You want the fish, obviously. You want the sauce, which I think is one of the most important ingredients. And you want something crispy and colorful, okay? So get some food coloring, make your own and sell your own. Masna, Masna, by the way, guys, look her up, Masna Foodie. She sells an incredibly compelling range of Malaysian products all over Europe, okay? So have a get in touch with Masna. Thanks, Victoria. Let us know how it turns out. But yeah, guys, give it a shot. Be a little bit creative in what you put in, but make sure everything should be very finely shredded and everything should be colorful, red, green, gold, those sort of colors you want. And like you want some crispy textures in there. And the sauce should be sweet with some sourness cut through it. And again, you know, I always tell people there are lots and lots of different ways to actually come to the same result with Malaysian cooking, okay? So there's not one hard and fast recipe, just lots of, keep down. Terima kasih. Oh, that was very cool. Terima kasih. Yeah, you're very welcome. Okay, yeah. So again, guys, make sure you stay tuned for our announcements. Sign up if you haven't already to malaysianchefs.com/join today. And we will see you on Friday. And Victoria is going to be going live with us for the first time ever. So we're very, very excited to see Victoria cook another Chinese New Year dish for us, okay? And by the way, guys, like I said, Paul Gray, just say hello to Paul, everyone. Paul is the guy who works behind the scenes, but he actually was responsible for setting up Masters of Malaysian Cuisine. He was there with me from the very start, okay? Thanks again, guys. Have a wonderful night, and let's bump out again with Tourism Malaysia. Ciao.
The